Hello all, I'm Professor Sandeep Ligade, working as an assistant professor in A.G. Patil Institute of Technology, Sholapur. So today we are going to discuss under mechatronics force pressure sensor. So in this we are using a strain gauge to measure these parameters. So there are wide variety of applications in mechatronic systems. We need to measure different parameters such as if you want to suppose measure torque, for the torque measurement, for the residual voltage measurement, or any kind of residual if it is present, for that measurement. If you want to measure compression and tension, for that measurement we are using this force and pressure sensor. For bending and deflection purpose we are using such kind of. So there are a wide variety of applications. So we need to measure the physical changes by applying the various techniques. So suppose if you consider a wire is nothing but a simple conductor, and on that if we apply a force or pressure, isn't it, what will happen? Definitely the length of the wire increases, and as we know that the formula of the resistance, that is R is equal to rho L by A, isn't it? So when by applying a force or pressure, or you can simply call as a stress, if we apply a stress is nothing but a force, right, in particular area. So when we apply a stress, and due to that stress there is a change, okay, in a wire, maybe a cross-sectional area, or you can say maybe in the length, right? That is nothing but a strain is nothing but a deformation which occurs due to the stress, right? And for that purpose what happens is the length of the wire, or you can say cross-sectional area, changes, and due to this change there is a change in the resistance, right? And in electronic system, when there is a change in a resistance, then there is a change in a flow of current, and current is nothing but a rate of flow of electron, right? So due to the change in the resistance, definitely there will be a change in a flow of current. That's why, so we can easily manipulate, we can easily detect that one, and go for the further processing, isn't it? So here we can see over here, see this is a simple wire which is having the length L, right? So when we apply a stress on this one, what happens? The length increases over here, see, okay. So this is dl is nothing but the change in the length by applying a stress, right? We talk as a strain over here, some small deformation, small change is there, right? This is the front view and this is side view. And your strain gauge is a passive transducer, because ultimately resistor, capacitor, inductor, these are the passive transducers. Likewise our strain gauge is also a passive transducer which require external power, external source to activate, right? And it is a primary sensing element in which is basically used in pressure, force and position sensors. So moving to the next slide, if we see strain gauge, here we can see over here formula simple, the resistance R is equal to rho L by A. When there is a change in the length, there is a change in the resistance. Similarly, when there is change in area, finally there is change in the resistance. So rho is the resistivity constant, which is different for the different metals that we use, right? So based on the variations of resistance of a conductor or semiconductor when subjected to a mechanical stress, right? So when we apply stress, then there is a change, right? There is a change in the electric resistance. So we can see over here a simple strain gauge, a foil type strain gauge over here, a metallic resistive sensing element inside, and this is a laminating for the coating purpose they have used, right? And this is a plastic film base for the encapsulation of this your strain gauge foil type. Later on we can see a more clear picture. This is a side view, right? This resistance can be, or this resistance can be sensed easily when we pass a current from this one, right? So when we pass a current, due to the applying force, what happens is there is a change in the resistance and there is a disturbance, or there is a change in the current. That's why we can easily manipulate, right? The sensing element of strain gauge is made up of copper nickel alloy foil, right? So this is of the material that we can manufacture. The alloy foil has a rate of resistance change proportional to strain with a certain constant. So this is what the property of the copper nickel alloy strain gauge that we can see over here, right? By applying stress on this one, what happens? There is a change, right? So tension causes resistance changes. When there is a tension, right? So when there is a movement in this direction, also in this direction, due to applied stress on this one, there is a change in the resistance, right? So it is called as a tension. And similarly during compression, right, it is inward, right? So inward compression, what happens is causes change in the again resistance, that is increase in the resistance. Here is also increase in the resistance. So name has been given, that is a bonded strain gauge. Bonded is nothing but simply it is been encapsulated at an under a certain case, right? It is a bonded. Unbonded means it is open, right? Wire types are there. So gauge insensitive to a lateral force. Lateral means a vertical, or we can say perpendicular force. Definitely. So when we apply vertical force on this one, vertical, suppose it is a perpendicular to this one, so it becomes insensitive because coverage area of the vertical force is very less. So longitudinal force if we apply on this one, so coverage area is more and uniform change occurs in this strain gauge, and definitely there is a change in the resistance. So for the longitudinal force, if we see, it is highly sensitive, and for the lateral force it is insensitive because coverage area is very small. So there are types of a strain gauge: semiconductor strain gauge, right, thin film strain gauge, diffuse semiconductor strain gauge, bonded resistance strain gauge, right, or bonded strain gauge, unbonded strain gauge, we can say, right? So there are so many types of strain gauge. We can see these are the picture of different strain gauges. Semiconductor strain gauge, and in that semiconductor material is being used, and due to the use of the semiconductor, here the concept of the piezoresistive, right, piezoelectric effect they have used using a semiconductor, because we know that piezoelectric effect, when we apply a force or pressure, and due to that applying a force or pressure, what happens? There is a generation of electricity, right? Electricity is getting generated. So due to that, what happens is it is highly stable, high accuracy is there, right? And the very important thing is it is highly constant. These are the so many advantages that we can obtain in piezoresistive strain gauges, right? So in semiconductor strain gauge, they have used a semiconductor type material. It is the base type material, right? And it is a semiconductor. Okay, so there are basically two types of semiconductor: silicon or germanium, right? So germanium is highly sensitive to the temperature, and silicon is insensitive to the temperature. That's why silicon are widely used. Silicon type material, isn't it? So it is a silicon type material, semiconductor. Okay, here is written semiconductor material, right? These are the two electrodes, and to this one we have attached two gold leads, because gold has very small resistance, right? So due to this, what happens? Semiconductor strain gauge works properly, and when we apply a force, what happens? There is a change in this shape and size, we can say, and due to this change, what happens? There is a change in the resistance. Again, there is change in resistance, and due to the change in that resistance, right, flow of current get disturbed. Fine. So finally we can manipulate it. Foil type strain gauge, if we see, under foil type or wire type, this is a simple, okay, metallic foil is there. In this fashion they have arranged, right? Two leads have been extracted. Okay, so on this one, when we apply a stress on this one, there is a proportional change in the length, or you can say there is a change in the resistance, and due to the change in the resistance we can easily detect. So this is a simple foil type. And for the wire type, if we see wire type, a simple conducting wire is being placed over here, simple conducting wire, right? And it is a bonded one, see. So there is an encapsulation, yellow part is a encapsulation they have done, and internally, okay, so this black portion is a metallic part, this is the metallic part, right? So it is a bonded strain gauge. So next, to measure the strain requires accurate measurement of very small change in resistance. Yeah. So here the thing is what, uh, when we apply very small force, then there is a small change in the resistance, and that resistance, okay, our strain gauge should sensitive to that changes. So that's why, okay, whatever the stress, or we can say force we apply, for smallest change in the force or stress, our strain gauge should respond. For example, if we see, suppose a test specimen undergoes a strain of 500 micro, right? So when we apply the strain of 500 micro, okay, having the gauge factor of 2, suppose, right? So it is a typical value, the gauge factor of any material, that is 2, that we can select. Okay, so what is the gauge factor? Basically it is a simple nothing but the change in the, okay, electric resistance to the change in the length. Okay, it is the ratio of change in electric resistance to change in the length. So simply it's a gauge factor, the typical value is 2. Okay, in design problem, if they have given any odd number, that is 1.2, 1.5, 1.8, something like that, we can assume that values also, right? So when we apply the strain of 500 micro, what happens is, when we multiply by 2, so we get, okay, 1000 micro. So over here, what happens, we get very small change. See over here, if we take example of 120 ohm resistance, with this, there is only a small change, that is 0.12 ohms, small change. Where is 120 ohms? It is a very high value, and in front of this 0.12 ohm is very small. So our strain gauge should be highly sensitive to such small stress, or you can say force. It should be highly sensitive. Then we can say that strain gauge is highly sensitive to the smallest change in the force or stress, right? So strain gauge circuit, if we see in the strain gauge, okay, so we have used here a Wheatstone bridge, right? So R1, R2, R3, R4, so all resistance are of same value. Suppose at all it is a resistive Wheatstone bridge, right? So in this one, if we consider all resistance are of same type or same value, then the bridge is a balance, right? The equation is nothing but simply R1 multiplied by R4 is equal to R2 multiplied by R3. When these all resistance are of same value, then output voltage is 0, because LHS is equal to RHS, same type. That's why on this one arm we can connect, okay, one strain gauge as a sensor, right? So it is not a compulsory to connect over here, we can connect anywhere over here, no issues at all. So what happens, if we adjust the resistance of this strain gauge to the resistance of all this, right? Suppose there is 1 kilo ohm, 1 kilo ohm, and 1 kilo ohm of strain gauge resistance, and similarly 1 kilo ohm of this your R3. In this case, what happens, there is a balance condition, fine. So some strain gauges are there, when we adjust to the 1 kilo ohms, due to the change in the temperature, surrounding temperature, ambient temperature, right? So there is a change in the resistance, so we can adjust, or we can connect here a potentiometer or preset over here to adjust or to balance the bridge, right? So compulsorily we have to connect a potentiometer over here, so as to make the bridge balance, to take the readings, right, in this way. So when there is a change, okay, in a temperature, then there is a change in the resistance, and definitely there is change in the voltage because bridge becomes unbalanced, right? So this is the first condition. Due to the change in the temperature, there is a change in the resistance, first case. And that shows an error because we haven't applied any kind of force or pressure over here. And then two, there is a change in the small resistance. So for that purpose, for offset adjusting, we have to connect a potentiometer, okay, to nullify the errors. And when we apply a force on this one, stress on this one, so there is a change in the resistance, and due to the change in the resistance, our bridge get unbalanced, and it shows certain reading on this voltmeter or galvanometer deflection, something like that, right? So in this way we can detect the pressure, or you can say stress, right? Similarly, the Wheatstone bridge is an electric circuit for detection of minute resistance changes, right? So we already had a discussion regarding this one, right? Strain gauge is connected in place of R4, so it is not compulsory to connect over here, so we can connect anywhere, right? So according to that, whatever procedure we have discussed, in this way strain gauge works. So now next step, moving to this one, see this. uh, this is a test specimen. On this there are two strain gauges, strain gauge 1 and strain gauge 2, and these two strain gauges we have connected in a bridge, right? So at initial condition it is in balance, bridge is balance. So when we apply a downward force, okay, vertical force over here, due to that what happens, strain gauge 1 goes to the expansion and strain gauge 2 goes to the compression. See, when we apply a force, it is expanding over here, and this strain gauge, blue color strain gauge, or you can say strain gauge 2, goes into the compression, right? But after all, what is our intention? If there is a change, okay, if there is a expansion or compression, definitely there is a change in the resistance, or resistance increases, and due to this what happens, the current flowing through that changes, right? So that change can be manipulated and predicted, right? So next step that we can see, fine. So quarter bridge, first one, the strain gauge circuit that we're going to see. First, why it is basically called as quarter bridge, because we have used only one strain gauge over here, right? So quarter bridge, the voltage equation becomes output voltage divided by input voltage, 1/4, because it is a quarter, that's why 1/4 gauge factor, right? It's a simple gauge factor. And epsilon that we have used, this change here, they have given the equation, so change in length to the original length, fine. So for the half bridge, if we see, two strain gauges that we have used similarly, and for the full bridge, all elements, all arm is covered with the strain gauges, right? So effect of temperature on output of gauge. Here, ideally we would like the resistance of strain gauge to change only in response to applied strain. Yeah, definitely. Already we had discussion, when we apply force or stress, at that time itself, okay, there should be a change in resistance. But the practically what happens is, there is change in the environment of environmental temperature. Due to that change in environmental temperature, definitely there is a change in the resistance, right? And that causes an error. To nullify that error, we need to make certain modifications, because our all strain gauges are very sensitive to the temperature. That's why, to nullify or to make the compensation over here, we need to connect the compensatory circuit, compensation circuit, right? So for that purpose, we are using strain gauge in such a way that, see over here, this is a small strain gauge they have connected in this way, and another strain gauge, or you can say dummy strain gauge, we have to connect in such a way that, okay, whatever the resistance change is there due to the change in the temperature, right? Due to the change in the temperature, what happens? The resistance of this as well as this changes proportionally, right? So due to this, what happens? Whatever the resistance change is there, okay, that will cancel to the main strain gauge, because it is a dummy strain gauge and we have connected in transverse mode. Okay, see here, one gauge is active, this one is active, and a second gauge is placed transverse to the applied strain, right? So what happens uniformly when there is a change in the temperature, right? The same value of resistance occurs over here. Similarly, the same value of resistance occur over here due to the change in that temperature. These both resistance are equal and opposite to each other. That's why they get cancelled, right? So this is what is simply the strain gauge has a little effect on the second gauge called as the dummy gauge. It has very little effect, isn't it? Because the temperature changes are identical in the two gauges, the ratio of their resistance doesn't change, right? The voltage doesn't change and the effect of the temperature change are minimized. Simple, very simple concept. In short, what we can see over here, when we apply a force or stress on this one, there is no change at all due to this dummy strain gauge. But when there is a change in the temperature, surrounding temperature, right? Similarly, whatever the resistance generated across this wire due to the change in the resistance, same resistance may occur over here, which is equal and opposite may cancel to each other, right? So there are various advantages. Strain gauge are reusable, there is no moving part, it is small and inexpensive, yeah, right? So there are various disadvantages. It is non-linear, it needs to be calibrated, yeah, it is need to be calibrated because we are using robustly. That's why sensitivity of that sensor may decline, so that's why every time there should be a calibration. Temperature compensation must be included, right now that we had discussion. In applications, residual stress measurement, vibration measurement, torque measurement, bending and deflection measurement, so right? So similarly, compression and tension measurement and strain measurement, these are the wide variety of applications of strain gauge, right? In this way we stop here. Thank you very much.